Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
Wait, stop!
Why? What's the problem?
It's not your birthday.
It's not my birthday?
No, it's for Pathways.
Well, do we still get to celebrate?
Yeah, you get to celebrate for Pathways 10th anniversary.
Hi everybody, thanks for joining us. I hope you enjoyed that introduction. I'd like to welcome each one of you and just say thank you for being a part of this fall fundraiser. This is to celebrate Pathways' 10-year anniversary, and my name is Christina Masker. I'm the CEO, Executive Director. I would like to walk you through what we do as an organization, what we've done in the past 10 years. There's a wonderful presentation by Carolyn Trotsky, and then we'll get into the future, share some exciting news, and then we'll close. The entire process will take about an hour, so I will be respectful of your time. If you know me, I'm a bit of a chatter, so it is a little difficult, but I will refrain from talking too much. I have notes, so again, thank you so much for joining us, and I hope that you're blessed by this. I like to pray. Lord God, I thank you for this opportunity to speak to all of these people about your mission, about what we do at Pathways, and how they can get involved. God, I thank you for everything that you have done over the past 10 years, and I thank you for your plans for the future and how you equipped us and how you call us to do your work, God, and you empower us along the way. And I just thank you so much. Please bless each and every one of those listeners or those people watching. And God, I just pray this all in your holy name. Amen. To begin, Pathways is a pregnancy help center. So a woman who finds herself pregnant, she's not sure where to go, she's not sure what to do, she can come to us. We have appointments or walk-ins, and what we would do is help her assess the situation. So we do provide free pregnancy tests and free ultrasounds, and we have information on parenting, adoption, and the risks and procedures of abortion. We do not refer or perform abortion. I just wanted to read our mission statement. Pathways is a faith-based, Jesus-centered organization providing services to empower people to make life-affirming and healthy choices regarding pregnancy, sexual, spiritual, and relational matters. And that really does sum up what we do, but we will go a little bit more in depth of what we have to offer. We truly care about each woman that comes into Pathways, and we want to make sure that we meet them where they are and that we can provide a listening ear or resources for the community or whatever it is that will really help to encourage her and to empower her. That each life is very precious, and we would pray that her choice would be for life. The choice would be for her to the best life possible for her and for her child. So the information that we provide can even be if someone comes in and they've already had an abortion, we have a post-abortion healing process for the woman to make sure that she doesn't carry around the guilt that can come with that. We also have an Earn While You Learn program. Whether they need to understand what's happening to them through pregnancy or through birth or as a parent. Let's face it, children don't come with a manual, so that is a very helpful resource for them. And they can earn points to shop in our baby shop. And that would be necessities like diapers and clothing and blankets and other smaller items that have been donated to us that we can provide to them that they earn as they take the classes and be able to get that information as well as those resources. The information that we provide on adoption, it gives them information about how they can provide a gift to another parent, maybe a gift to somebody who can't have children or, just really wants to bless somebody they can give the gift of life to the child. And many people were adopted within the Bible, but that's not something that's really mentioned often. So we want to make sure that these women know that that is an option if they don't have the means, or if they don't feel like they can be a parent at this time, but they do choose life. So that is something that we would definitely celebrate as well. And as I mentioned, we do have the Surrendering the Secret program. If somebody has already made the choice to have an abortion and they need a healing from that process, it is a wonderful program that is 8 weeks long, and they really bond with the coaches and can really heal and understand where God is in their life now. My role as executive director often puts me also in the role of coach, and I will see these women and talk to them when they first come in and do an intake, which is where we have to assess where they are, their needs, and provide the information as I've stated. And I just wanted to share a few stories with you. The first one is, it's just touched me so deeply. A woman came in, obviously coming off of some type of drug, and she was very upset that she was pregnant. While sitting there with her, she had mentioned that she already had children, and she just didn't think she could have any more. Mentally, she just didn't think she could handle another child. She was a single mother already, and she didn't really know where her life was going to go. During that time that I spent with her, she definitely voiced that she was interested in an abortion, and I explained that that's not something that we provide. But she did go ahead and get the ultrasound to see how far along she was, and she was blessed by that. I reached out to her multiple times afterwards to see, her status update, see how she was doing, check in, see if she wanted to make another appointment with us. And she had not responded to me in any way. So eventually her file was closed, and I would never forget her and never stop praying for her, but I would at least stop reaching out. And she came in to the center and says to me, "I don't know if you'll remember me." And at that moment I said, "I can never forget you." And this woman, when she came in the second time, she was glowing. It had been months in between, and she was so healthy and so happy. The smile on her face was incredible. She shared with me that she was afraid to get medical help because of her being an addict, and that she wasn't sure what she was going to do, and she was really pondering abortion. But since then, she did have her child, and she was so madly and deeply in love. She shared that he helped save me and help me turn my life around. I want to do better for him. So it's so touching to see somebody come in and be so upset and so lost, and you sit with them and you listen, and then they come back in and they're so filled with joy. So it was a wonderful experience, and I'll never forget that specific woman and her story. There are many appointments that we have that don't seem to end well, but it's seeds that God allows us to plant, and we don't always get to see them grow, but somebody else will. And that is why we do what we do, is to share God in a gentle way. I am not going to give you story after story of awful situations, because you all know too well the darkness of this world and the times that we live in. But I do want to talk about the light that Pathways has been, and the light that Pathways will continue to be. For the past 10 years, we've seen many women. There has been thousands of visits by women and hundreds of ultrasounds year to date, and directly affected, it's over 1,000 souls. That would be the women, the men that come in, and the baby, the pregnancy. So, we can track the difference that we've made, a little bit of what God lets us see, and it's just incredible to be able to look back and see all that Pathways has done in the past 10 years. Now, Pathways opened what Kathy, the former executive director and founder, calls the Small Beginnings Office. It was a storage closet, she says. They opened officially November 29th, 2011, and welcomed their first client that December. The first Pathways baby was born October 2012. They had since moved to a larger office space in 2014, and then 2015 they ended up where we are currently. With the added space that we have, the plan is to accommodate going medical, which they started the process in 2019. Going medical would be getting our own ultrasound machine and having our own physician, our own doctor and nurse and people to run the machine and all that jazz. That process was started in 2019, and it's been so wonderful to see how far we have come. The Surrendering the Secret program started probably around 2014. They had done other programs to help these women heal, but that one specifically started then. And, Pathways has just grown so wonderfully. Next, I'd like to introduce our special speaker. Her name is Carolyn Trotsky. She is a wonderful woman, and I love her gentleness, her gentle spirit. I hope that you are blessed by her words as well as entertained by her presentation. And stay tuned. After her pottery presentation, we will talk about Pathways' future and how you can get involved. So thank you.
So the next step in the pottery process is then to be throwing the clay that you have just wedged. And the way you do that is usually on a wheel. And so what we have to do first is we take some water and we wet the wheel. And I love this process because every time I work with clay and work on the wheel, all those images come back to me of what God says about the whole process of throwing this clay. And I hope I can convey to you those images that are so appropriate for life. And so the first thing is you have to get your clay centered. And don't we have to be centered as well? Clay has to be centered. If it's not centered, then it can't be pulled properly and it can't turn into the vessel that you want. So you lightly dampen your wheel, and you take your clay and you hold it over the center of the wheel, and you hope that with one nice throw you can actually get it close to being in the middle. And it's not the best, but I'm going to push it. So here's the other thing is the potter has to push this clay into the area where it needs to be in order for it to be centered. It has to be constantly slightly wet. I have to use my arm almost like a battering ram, and I put it into my thigh. And you can see my hand is really wobbling all over the place, and that's not good at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm really going to force this clay. And sometimes what happens is you didn't throw it right, and it'll come right off the wheel. But since it's not coming off the wheel, at least it's nice and sticking. And what I need to do is really get this clay to a point where my hands are no longer moving all over the place. You can I can feel it, and you can probably see that I'm a lot closer to where I want to be at the moment. Clay always has to be kept wet and slide through your fingers. And then what we do is it's called coning it up. So with two hands, I start to put pressure again, and I start to push towards the center to cone this clay upward. You probably can take notice the fact that my hands are starting to not wobble as much, but they're still wobbly, and we have a little bit more work still yet to do. We have to bring this clay back down again, and the way we do that is I take my hand, I put it over the top a little bit, I keep water in my sponge, and with the palm of the side of my hand, I'm going to push this clay back downward. I remember hearing some people tell me that they thought that they would like to do pottery. They thought it was easy until they saw all the work that had to happen to get, and how much pressure has to be applied in order to get this clay centered. And again, there's an image that I feel is so appropriate to our lives. Don't we buck God? Don't we try to do our own things? How much pressure does He have to put against us in order to get us centered? As you can probably see right now, the clay is really responding well, and it's really not wobbling all over the place. I like the name of the next step. The next step is called opening up the clay. I feel like this is the part of the process for us is where we have to be opened up to receive God's word, to hear what He really wants to say to us, to help us to become mature. In doing this, we take our hand, always with the clay spinning away from us. We take our hand, we put our thumb right in the center. And what I like to do first of all is I have to determine how high that piece of clay is, and it comes to my knuckle right there. I have to stop my thumb going down in the center a little bit before I get to that point. So opening up the clay again, put my hand against the side, and I force my thumb down into there, right to about there. So the next part of the process is, like I always tell my art students, it's like you're a crab and you have a crabby claw. You take your thumb and you pull it over to your fingers. And I think you could probably see how it is opening up. If the clay gets too dry, it has that grog in it and it can really hurt your hands. And so you always constantly have to keep the clay wet. Now, if you ever get a chance, I would recommend that you try to watch a potter from real life. It's fascinating just to see the clay get molded through their hands. And for me, I just love the feel of this clay body. I can feel every little piece of grog, if there's an air bubble in here, I could feel that as well. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do what's called my first pull. I want to make this into a vessel. And I go back to that in Jeremiah. Does not the potter have the right to say what this vessel should be? So usually a potter has in his mind what he wants it to be. Now pulling clay means I'm putting equal pressure on the inside with 2 or 3 fingers, and on the outside equal pressure, and I'm actually literally pulling the clay up, pushing it towards them, and you will start to see this vessel rise. Now the thing you don't want to do is when you get to the top, pinch it off. You want to come up and out. Every once in a while, because this is on a wheel and it's causing a centrifugal force, you have to remind the clay. And isn't that again an image that we as Christians need to be reminded? Otherwise, we'll just go completely flat. We'll continue to go out and it won't hold its shape any longer. But we need to be reminded as well, reminded of God's goodness, His graciousness, His provision, reminded of so much. By reminding the clay, what you do is you come up with both hands and you kind of force that clay back in again, like that. It strengthens, that reminding strengthens the clay wall as well. So I'm going to pull again. You want your clay to be about 1/4 of an inch thick. Some people, you will notice, can pull or will pull clay even thinner than that. I kind of like that heavier feel to my own pots, but I also like to do it because I'm hoping that they don't break. So I'm pulling up. Again, I'm going to remind this clay to come back and support that wall, and I'm going to continue to pull up. Now, a simple cylinder is one of the first forms that you actually learn when you're doing pottery on the wheel. But one of the forms I love to do is when I get my clay to about 1/4 of an inch, one of the shapes I really love to work with is bowls. And so very simply, when it gets to the cylinder form, then what I do is I'm going to put a little extra pressure on the inside, and I'm going to take my outside hand and I'm going to form this back into a, kind of cupping it into a bowl. Personally, I kind of like that belly look to clay. And I like the top to come in a bit. And then I personally like to kind of bend that lip back over slightly to give it a nice little pot-like bowl. Now some people say, oh, you make it look so simple. And I thought so too when I took classes and watched the instructor. As you work with clay, you get better and better with it. So now I have a structure that I really like. And then there's several ways in which we finish this then. I could, if I wanted to, you might be able to see, if I take my finger and I come up and I put a design on this, I can do a slight spiral to that. A lot of potters do it on the inside of the clay as well. But one of the things I really like is when a clay piece is finished, it does have to dry. It has to go into what's called a leather dry stage. You can manipulate it a little better, handle it a little better. Right now it's very fragile. But in that leather dry stage, what you can do is sign your name to the bottom, just like the potter. He signs his name on us. Potter, being God, signs his name on us. Some other people also make seals or insignias. Mine is a heart shape with a cross in the middle. And what you do is you impress that stamp into the clay. And then anybody who picks up a piece of pottery is like, oh, I know who made that. Isn't that the same with how God does things for us and makes us part of him? He stamps us with his seal and says that we are his. I just, again, love the image of the pottery. After you finish, of course, with the leather dry stage and you let it dry, it has to go into what's called a bone dry stage. And that's still in a fragile stage, but it has all the air out, all the water out of it at that point. Once that happens, it has to go through the first firing, which is called a bisque fire. Bisque fire hardens the clay, but doesn't mature it all the way yet. Once it's in the bisque fire, it's kind of like a piece of pottery. It's not going to break on you like as if you just touched it and it fell apart. That's the part where you then would glaze it with different glazes. And then there too, you can design, as the potter, you can design on what color glazes that you want that piece to look like at the end. And then it goes through the second firing stage. Now, let me just say, in the firing process, though, pots can crack and they can explode. If there was an air bubble in here, or if there's water that has not escaped, it can cause an explosion inside the kiln. Pot basically shatters. It happened recently for me with a student's work. it took out 2 other people's pieces of work. And it's hard. You can't sometimes pinpoint that before it goes into the kiln. But like I said, me being the potter, I can actually feel an air bubble, and then I can even pop it slightly. But if not, then the whole thing has to be broken down and you have to start all over again. So I was thinking about the firing process. And again, God uses imagery in the Bible. And think about how many times he talks about taking you through the fire in order to mature you and to bring you out. With all when he talks about silver, he talks about taking that dross out. When we talk about firing a piece of pottery, we talk about making it mature and complete and finished and usable for service. And so, kind of ironic, I do have the kiln going. The kiln has to reach different temperatures according to each clay body, but the clay body I'm using right now has to reach a temperature of about 2,300 degrees. That's hot. Think about that. I think about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego every time I put things into the furnace. But then we think about how God was with them in that process. So, one of the things I wanted to say, I've had people ask me questions before. What would I hope that people would take away tonight with what I've shown you tonight? And I've come up with a couple things. I know before I did pottery, I enjoyed looking at pots, but I didn't realize what went into them to make them. I would hope that you would not look twice, or that you would look twice at a piece of pottery, and that you wouldn't just breeze by it, but that you would take note to the craftsmanship, take note to the design, the usefulness of the product, take note to the potter's mark on the bottom. Think about what went into that to make that. Think about what God is doing in your life as well. The other thing I was thinking about is that each one of us is valuable and useful. And so when you see a pot, that you would remember that you yourself are valuable, you yourself are useful. But not only that, as we think of these babies that haven't been born yet, we think of the work that Pathways has been doing. And I kept thinking as I've been planning for tonight about who invested in me as I was growing up. I had a wonderful mom who didn't understand art, but she saw that I was interested in art. And she went out of her way all the time to buy a tube of paint, a piece of canvas, a paintbrush. She encouraged me when I was a little girl to draw and to color and to take plasticine clay and to make little fruit baskets. I had other people in my life as I was growing up do the same thing at different stages in my life. And I just want to say that tonight, you have the opportunity to invest in the lives of others. Invest in the lives of the mothers who are coming in here as Pathways reaches out and gives love to all people. Yes, they are concerned about the babies, but they're also concerned about the moms. And so I know that at the bottom of your screen that there are several ways that you can donate tonight. You can either go online or you can also do it via email. But I'm asking that you would seriously take into consideration tonight how you may partner with Pathways and make a difference. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Carolyn. Wasn't that great, guys? It is so amazing how she links her pottery to God and so clearly explains that and how he's formed us. And it's incredible. As she mentioned, the verse that I chose for this fundraiser is Isaiah 62:3. You will be a crown of splendor in the Lord's hands, a royal diadem in the hand of your God. And when I'm reading that, I imagine, God holding us. And Jesus died for us when we were still sinners. So he's not holding us perfect or when we're pure, but He reached out and He held us before we even knew He was there. He's been with us and He's guided us. And I don't know your story. I know my story, and I know that I do have a dark past, and I wasn't raised in a wonderful Christian home. That wasn't my path. But the path that I have had, I know that God provided me so that I can learn from that, and then I can be there for others who go through the same thing that I did, who don't have God yet. And I know that for me to be able to share the love that He's provided me, and the forgiveness and the healing, for me to be able to share that with others just makes it all worth it, So I thank you for joining in on this event, and I hope that you've been blessed. So we get to the news. First thing I wanted to mention is we have a new curriculum. It is called Bright Course, and it is incredible. It goes from pregnancy to birth all the way through to special circumstances. It's relevant to today's culture, and it's relevant to situations that are happening and issues that people are having. So that is just a fantastic step in the right direction. With the Bright Course, it's called, our goal with that is to empower through education, to break chains and create a brighter future. I know that I mentioned, parenting doesn't come with a manual. And a lot of these people don't have God yet, so we can't rely on them to, go through the Bible and pick through and understand what it means when they don't understand that at all yet. So as we go through, there is spiritual application pages that go with each lesson, and it opens a great dialogue between coach and client, and we can really, encourage them and help them to grow. And as I have mentioned, we will continue to do the process where they earn points and they can purchase things in our store, which has diapers and essentials that they would need, but it's just a newer curriculum, more up to date. And, it does come with, a nice price tag, but it is worth it. It is wonderful. I'm going to be going through those myself as a parent, so I'm excited about that. And everything we provide is free, so the classes that they take, there is no cost to them. The second thing that I would like to mention, I know that we've been working towards going medical since 2019, and we are just so close. I could taste it. We're making a lot of progress in that. So just continue to keep that on your prayer list, that, we have doctors that we've reached out to and doctors that we are waiting on responses for. So if the doctor who will work with us for the ultrasound machine, it would be great to be able to provide these women an ultrasound with life-affirming people around them and really touch their heart and let them see not just a medical aspect of it, but the life aspect. So that will be a wonderful blessing to the community and to all of God's people, to be able to provide that to those who are unsure of what choice they want to make. The third thing, and this may or may not be a surprise to some, as we go through and we grow, Pathways has been, growing for 10 years now, and we want to grow for another 10 years, and for as long as God wants to keep us going, because this is His mission, this is God's plan, this is God's ministry, we're just along for the ride. So, to be relevant, to continue to be able to provide these services to women, we understand that our mission doesn't change and our message doesn't change, but sometimes the way we present it does. So I'd like to present to you the new logo for Pathways. First, the current logo is this one. It's a wonderful purple and green, and it's pretty, and it has on there assessing options, exploring possibilities, and offering hope. And that is definitely our direction. That's not changing. Nothing of Pathways is changing as far as our core and our mission and our vision, but the pretty package that it comes in will. So this is our Pathways logo. It's pretty cool. Yes, Pathways is the name, and we're not changing that. It's not something that God's laid on my heart, so we're going to keep Pathways. Take a look here. The purple in the triangle, it represents royalty, wisdom, peace, and it's pretty. It's my favorite color as well. The green represents growth and renewal and hope. And hope is definitely something that we want to provide to these women who are so, struggling so much. As I said, it will remain Pathways. The path to God is through Jesus, and he said that he is the truth and he is the way. And, we want to point to him. That is definitely part of our main core. So to keep with that, the triangle, it's almost like there's an arrow pointing up towards God. And God is so good. It's so beautiful. The triangle does represent the Trinity. So, God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, they all work together. They have different roles. And, if we are open to the way they speak to us and the way they guide us, we can do incredible things through them. And, the colors on there are kind of messy, but life is messy. Life is messy and life is beautiful. So it's wonderful. So some of the other forms that we have, Pathways with Surrendering the Secret. Pathways is a safe place to heal and to find hope. So we have these cards, per se, that we have information on. So for all the organizations that are tuned in right now, we can provide you with new, up-to-date paperwork in regards to this so that we can provide it to the community. Our main core with the 3 options is the, assessing options, exploring possibilities, and offering hope. So we have this one here, and it's a brief, overview of what we have to offer. And we do have a new 3 options brochure. It is very colorful. It's inviting. I'm very excited about it. And one of the things that we have that stick out in bold is you deserve to know the facts before you decide. We just want each woman to be fully informed on that. All right. Whew, exciting. I hope that you feel, the movement of the Holy Spirit as I do. And I hope that you know that God is truly within this ministry, and he is moving, and he has so much planned for us that we can't even fathom. All of our services are 100% free for all of our clients, and the reason that we're able to operate that way is because of your generous donations. So without any further ado, I would like to go over some of the information that we have in regards to finances. This is a fundraiser after all. We have our in-house expenses, which can be our operation costs as far as rent, insurance, with the goal of having the ultrasound within our facility. We do have an organization who has promised to raise the funds for the machine itself. However, our insurance will go up and other things to make sure that we are operating in the proper capacity, have the right software, make sure that we are HIPAA approved, all of that jazz. We also have other financial sections that we have for our everyday costs, which would be pregnancy tests. Currently, we send the women over for an ultrasound at a different location, so we do pay for that. Once we have the ultrasound and we're able to have the life-affirming people surrounding these women, it's going to be well worth the financial cost. So that is very exciting. Our curriculum. It is very important that we have up-to-date curriculum for them, something that is inviting and exciting. The statistics show that some of the women having abortions already have children, but they're just as lost as anyone else. Just because you have a child does not make you exempt or safe from that thought and those decisions. So we would like to break chains and have them be excited about the curriculum, want to actually come in and have the community with us, and we can earn the right to speak into these lives and share Jesus and just watch these women grow. It's absolutely incredible when you see some of the women who've been coming to the center for years, and they continue to come back because not only do they benefit from earning the points of taking courses, but the friendships and just the mentors that they have, the wonderful bonds that they create through that is so important. Of course, we have marketing. If we don't market, if we don't put money into that, how can we help people if they don't know we're here? So that is a section that we do need to take into consideration and make sure the proper funds go to that as well. That is only, the tip of what we, put our funds towards. But we do pray to make sure that we are proper stewards of what God has given us and that we do follow what He wants. I pray that you have been blessed through this, that God will put on your heart the amount or how He wants you to give to this organization. I thank you so much for being a part of this, and I pray that God blesses you for blessing others, and I just thank you so much. As we close, we will post the way to give. You can give monthly, or you can give as a one-time gift. You can give through our Facebook, our donor page, which is one of the ways that we're broadcasting this, as well as through PayPal and through our donor website. So we will have all of that information listed on here so that you can click those links. You can also mail in a check to Pathways, which will have the address listed, but that is 480 Pierce Street, Suite 320 in Kingston, PA 18704. Again, I thank you so much for supporting us, for listening to God's call, and just being interested in this mission. Our battlefield is spiritual, and we are within our community trying to fulfill God's work as He's called us to. And if you want to be involved as a volunteer, as a coach, as a board member, if you feel a calling to put your time and your effort into Pathways, please contact us. I'm always available. Our number is on the links as well, so I will always respond to your calls, your texts, your emails, what have you, any way that you'd like to communicate. If you think that you know someone who needs our services, feel free to reach out, get more information if that's what you'd like, paper, or even if you have somebody in mind that you want to bring by the center. We would absolutely love to engage in those conversations. And I just thank you so much for participating, for supporting us, and I just pray for another wonderful 10 years to come. And thank you so much for being a partner with us during this time. May God bless you. And yeah, so I hope you enjoy the gift and the cookies.